Hello everyone. In this video, I have discussed what does it mean by full stack development and Node.js, the fundamentals of Node.js. So let's start. Now, what does it mean by full stack development? Most websites and web applications require the use of client-side technologies and the server-side technologies. Client side refers to those technologies that run in the web browser, like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Server side technologies refers to those technologies that run on web servers, like PHP, Python, Node.js, etc., and databases. So Amazon uses server-side technologies to store information on millions of products and a client-side search interface that interacts with web server so customers can find and purchase products. So if you know both these technologies, you will be called as a full stack developer. Basically, it consists of a front-end developer and a back-end developer. A front-end developer is a developer that is proficient in client-side technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. A back-end developer is a developer that is proficient in server-side technologies. Many developers strive to be proficient in both front-end and back-end technologies and how the two sides work together. So, a full stack developer is a developer who has expertise in all aspects of a website or web applications development, including client technologies, server technologies, data modeling, and user interfaces. So, till now, we have focused on front-end development, that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now we're going to talk about and focus on client-side technologies, and we're going to focus specifically on Node.js. Now, the diagram that you see is showing the technologies that are included in full stack development. It consists of a front-end technology, that is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a back-end that consists of server technologies like PHP, Python, ASP.NET, or Node.js, and a connectivity to a database. Okay, now herein, if you'll see, the web server technologies are PHP, Python, ASP.NET. The one that we are going to focus is Node.js. Okay, so you can use any of these technologies. The one that I have explained in this video is Node.js. So let's understand what does it mean by Node. Okay, so is Node a language or is it a technology? What is a node? Now, I have posted certain tutorials on Canvas, and I would strongly suggest and recommend to go through those tutorials. Okay. Now, Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment that is primarily used to run server-side web applications. So I repeat, it's a JavaScript runtime environment that is primarily used to run server-side web applications. Okay, so many people get confused. Is it a programming language or is it a tool? No, it's not a programming language. It is a server-side environment. It can connect with the database. Code and syntax is very much similar to JavaScript. It is free and open source, and it uses Chrome's V8 engine to execute code. Why do we use Node? Because Node.js is mostly used for creating APIs. We're going to talk about what does it mean by API in a little bit. We can connect the same database with the web app, mobile app through API. And Node.js is easy to understand for those who have learned JavaScript. It is super fast for APIs. And with Node and JavaScript, you can become full stack developer. Right? Okay. Now, what we are going to see is how does Node.js uses JavaScript. So let's see how does a Node.js uses JavaScript. Now, if you'll see, what happens is at the client side, that is at your side, when you type something on the browser, okay, where does the page goes to? The request is being sent to a server. Okay, now what does a server do? Server matches that page with the pages that is being stored on it, and it respond to the client, okay, with the page that is being requested. So on the client side here, which you see in a blue computer, so on the client side, the technologies that are used are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Request is sent to the server, and on the server side, you can use server side technologies, one of which is Node.js. Okay, so it uses Node technology and it responds to the client. So if you'll see, it looks something like this. Okay, so you are, let's say client is on Chrome. The request is being sent to the server wherein the Node.js is used. And as I said, most of the code is very much similar to JavaScript code. And that is another reason that many developers like Node.js. Okay, and so Chrome uses its V8 engine. The server responds to the Chrome browser through a, a respond to a Chrome browser through Node.js code, right? Okay, so both side you have, if you'll see, the V8 engine is being running, that is the Chrome's engine. Okay, now what developer make with Node.js? The developer makes APIs with Node.js. So we can connect with server, we can connect server with client. Node can make API for web, Android, and iOS, etc., and make and with Node, people can also make websites, right? Okay, now what does it mean by API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is a set of rules, protocols, and tools that allow different software applications to communicate and interact with each other. It defines the method and data structures that developers can use to interact with a software component, service, or system without needing to understand the internal implementation details. For example, what you have on your Apple Watch, right? So when you take steps, you get the result of how many steps you have taken in a day on your mobile phone. That is a use of an API. Okay, so basically it allows different software application to communicate and interact with each others. Okay, so as a developer, you can also create your own APIs to expose functionalities from your application to other parts of the code, other applications. So for example, I want to collect a weather data and I want to project it on my website. Okay, so you are going to connect to a weather app and then take the data from there and put it on your website, right? So this is also an example of making an application programming interface or an API. Okay, and when building web application with Node.js, you might also you will encounter this term API in context of web APIs. Okay, which are the set of endpoints provided by web servers to allow clients to interact with the server and perform actions like retrieving data, sending data, or performing specific operations. Okay, now here and we'll see how to create an API at the end, and maybe your ideas will get more clear. For now, just remember that it allows different software applications to interact with each other. For example, I just gave an application of weather data. So you're going to collect the weather data from some application and is going to project it on your website, right? So that is an example of an API. Now, for learning Node.js, you need to install certain software. You have to install certain softwares. Okay. The software that we are going to install is Node.js. And let's see how to install Node.js. So you're going to download Node.js. You're going to download and install NPM and Node. And the code editor, we are going to use VS Code. There are other editors as well, like people use Sublime Text or Notepad++, but we are already familiar with using VS Code. So we will, and I think it is the best one to learn these technologies. So we'll be using a VS Code editor. Okay, so let's see how to install Node. Okay. So what I would do is herein, I will search for Node.js. Okay, or just Node.js download. Okay, click on the, or maybe this one or this one. Let's see. This one, the first link that appears here. Okay, you get, okay, herein you're not getting the download link. Okay. Okay, so I have Windows and I already have installed it. So I'll maybe click on this one. And if you'll see, it has installed this package in my downloads folder. Okay, so if I'll go on my downloads folder here in downloads, I'll see this, just double click on it and it will start installing the package for you. Okay, I already have it installed. So yeah, I already have it installed, so I am not going to install it again. And I would strongly recommend to install this because your project is based on Node.js. Okay, so after you installed it, okay, what you are going to do is you're going to check if it is installed properly or not. And for that, I will open my command terminal. If you are on Mac, you are going to use terminal. Okay, so I typed here in the search CMD, and I have I have this little window open here, and to check I'll type it in here node/v. Okay, and it will provide you the version that is being installed. For me, it has installed a version 20.0. Okay, so and for you it will be, I think, 20.10, what you see over here. So for me, I have installed 20.0. Okay. Okay, and let's see the npm. And it should be, I think, 9.5 something for me. Okay, yeah, 9.6. Yeah, yours might be different. Okay, now once you have installed this, okay, you can make your program run over here as well. Okay, to make this is a kind of interactive shell for you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type node. Okay. Okay, and then let's see. So if I'll say x is equals to 10, it is printing it over here, right? Or y equals to 20, it's printing it over here, and I can directly write like console dot log and x plus y, it will execute here as 30, right? Or I can directly also write it as like this. Right. And if you'll see, this is like an interactive shell but it is running on Node. Okay. So instead of displaying this on a browser, I can see the output here. Okay. But this is not a very efficient way of running. I mean, at least I do not prefer the program like this. So what I would do is I will go to my VS Code. I will minimize this, or maybe you can close it. Okay, and I'll go to VS Code here. I'll create a new JS file. So let's say node demo.js. Okay, and herein I'll say console.log and I'll say hello node. Right. Okay, Now I want to see the output in the terminal. So I'll go here, I'll say view, and herein I'll say terminal. So this way, like you don't have to run it in an HTML website and check it on the browser, right? I can check it over here. So I went here, I went to view, I went to terminal, and you can also press Control plus and template, literal, but Mac might be different. Instead of control, you will be pressing command, right? Now, how do you run it using Node? So I write it, so here run, here I'll write it as node, okay, dot slash, and my code name, my file name. So my file name is node demo.js, right? And I just press enter. Now if you'll see, the first time it won't run. Okay, and second time also it did not printed anything, and let's see why. Okay, I'll save it again. Yeah, so it is printing it over here, right? In the console. You see it? Hello node, right? So we have seen how to create a script and execute it with node, right? Okay. Now, how do we create modules and use it with node? Okay, so before creating a server, I wanted to show you how you create modules and how do we use it with nodes. So modules means, like, for example, if you have learned other programming languages, we create certain libraries, we save it at one place. In that library, what is a library? Basically, it's a function, right? It consists of many functions inside it, which you can use it in your program. So similarly here and as well, you can write some code in a module, save it at one place, and you can use it in your program. So let's see how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to create a file. Okay. Okay, I'm going to create a file, and why it is going inside this console.log. Okay, and I'm going to create a file app.js. Okay, now herein I'm going to write it as, so let's say I have written a code that, okay, let's see. So if I have written a code like x is equals to 10, okay, and y equals to 20, and I want to use this code in another program. Okay, I want to use this code in another program. So let's say I have another program over here, and I will say node1.js. Okay, so I want to use that code over here. Will I be able to use it? No, because there is no link of connection between these two codes, right? So for that, we create modules. So the way you're gonna write it as, you're gonna say module dot exports equals to, okay, this, and that's it. Okay, so I created a module, and herein just separated with commas. Okay. And why it is showing an error? Control S. Oh, my bad. Okay, when we create module, we use colon to assign values. Okay, so I've created a module here, okay, and I want to export it into this program, node1.js. So what we do is we make use of require keyword. So I'll say let's say n1 equals to, or let's say node1 equals to require, and write down this module name. So dot slash, and my module name is app, right? Okay. And let's see what happens if I'll say console.log. Console.log, and I'm going to write it as node1. Okay. And let's see. So here what I'll do is I'll run both the programs. Okay. So here I'll say, so I'll go here, Control S, node dot and app.js. Okay. Let's try to run the other one. Okay. Okay, and it is showing me some error, maybe because, and let's see. Okay, let's see what is the issue. Okay, the problem here that I see is it is not finding the module under the particular directory where it is saved. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will save it in this particular directory, that is JavaScript. So let's make it one more time. So here I'm gonna make it as, let's say, app1.js. Okay, and so I did not saved it in at a proper way. So module.export equals to, and I'm gonna say x is 10, comma y is 20. Right, so that's my app that I have created. Like that's the JS file that I have created, and let me just run it through the Java, through the node. So let me clear that screen, and here I'm gonna say node, and I'm gonna say app.js. So it is working. The problem earlier was I was not saving it in this directory. Okay. This particular path. Okay, and let's see, let's get another one, and I'm gonna name it as, let's say, n2.js. And herein, so I'm gonna create a program that is going to use this module, right? So dot, and app1 is the one that I have used, right? And let's try to print it. So console.log, and I'm gonna print this n2, and let's see what happens. So herein, let's execute this code, n2.js. Okay, and this time it is printing an empty string. It should have printed x1 and x2. And why it is not printing? So app1, okay, because I did not run app1.js. So herein, I'll run app1.js first. And now I'll run n2.js. Okay, and it is still printing an empty string, and let's see why. It's not still getting it, this one. Okay, Let's do it as okay. Yeah, it is taking this file app, but it is not taking the file app1.js, and I am not very sure why. So my app.js is the same one that I have created it over here. Module.export is equals to x20, y10, and I tried to import that in the node file, that is N2. Okay, so this way what we can do is we can create a module and we can save some data over there and can retrieve it from another module. Okay, you can directly retrieve the data as well. So let's see how can we do that. Okay, so herein, so if you want to directly get the value of x and y, I could have written it as like this, console.log, and herein I'm going to use a template literal x and $sign, and herein you're going to say n2.x. Okay, and same thing for getting the value of y. It's, I'm just going to say y is n2.y. And you can also just print the addition of these two numbers, but let's see if this portion of the code runs fine or not. Okay, and this is printing x as 20 and y as 10. So you can just save a data in one program, okay, and can call it in your program. The program wherein you save the data is called as a module, and you can make use of that in another program. Okay, you can also make use of functions. Okay, so here in my app.js, I can also directly write a function. So herein, what you can do is I'll say comma, and herein I'll write a function. Okay, and let's say this function is going to return 10. Okay, and save it. Save this, run this app.js. Okay, and then run your n2.js, you will have to call that function. So I'll say console.log, and herein I'll make use of again the backticks, and I'm gonna say function data is, and $sign, herein the name of the function that you want to call, and I want to call z, right? Save it and again run it over here. So herein, let me clear the screen. And here, n2.js. Okay. Oh, I wrote it as n1 instead of n2. Okay, let me clear the screen again. And so to clear the screen, I'm typing clear. That is clear. Okay. Okay, it is not saving it. And that is the problem here. It does not save it easily. Okay. Okay, and you see function data is 10, right? So you can call a function as well from a module, right? Let's see how to create a server, okay, using Node.js. So to create a server using Node.js, you can use many modules in the Node.js. The different modules that are available, the core modules that are available in Node.js are file system, that is FS, then you have HTTP, HTTPS, URL, query string, path, OS, etc. Okay, the one that we are going to use is HTTP, which we can use to create a server. So let's see how to make use of that. Okay. So I'm gonna create a JS file here. Okay, and let's say server.js. Okay, and this is how basically we create server using Node.js. Now, so I'm gonna use a variable, okay, and to use it, you'll have to make use of a HTTP module. So I'll say require. So require is the keyword when you have to export or import any module. Okay, so I use require HTTP, and now I'm gonna say this variable HTTP dot create server. Okay, now create server takes two arguments, that is response and the request. So it takes two parameters. It takes two parameter, request and the response. Request means the client is requesting some page from the browser and browser is responding uh, with its response. Okay, so it's gonna take a request, okay, and response as a parameter. Now it returns the server is going to write. So I'm going to say response dot write. Okay, and let's create something. So I'm going to say h1 demo. This h1 is a tag. Okay, the HTML tag that I am using to write it on the browser. Okay, and herein I'm going to say response dot end. Okay. Now, when you always send some request to the server listen or receive a request at a particular port. Okay, there are different ports, 2000, 4500, 3000, etc. So the one that I'm going to use is 4500. Okay, so the server is going to listen to your request at this port 4500. Okay, what we are trying to do here is we're trying to create a server. Okay, and let's say client has sent a request and server will respond with this message that this is a server demo. So I'm just going to write it as server demo here. Okay, now how will you run this code? So first, let's run this code. So I'm gonna say node, okay, and here run server.js. Okay, and it run the code. So now your computer is a local server. Okay, so the way you're gonna open it is you're gonna open a browser. Okay, so here run, let's say I'll open a browser. I'll write localhost and okay, I'll just type it localhost and my port address is 4500 and press enter. Okay, let's see again. Okay, my bad. 4500. If that port is not working, it means it is busy, so you can make use of another one. And the one that I'm gonna use is I'm gonna make it as 3000 for now. Okay, so Control S and here run. Okay. Okay, so the firewall is blocking it. Okay. Let's go back and check. Okay, and see, it is working on another port. It was not initially working on 4500, but it is working on this port. So I would suggest the same thing. If it does not work on a port that you have specified here, try changing the port to 3000 or 2000. Okay, and it will work. So what this code basically means is we have created a server that is responding to some request from the client. Okay, the way it is responding it is we are just printing server demo. The concepts will get more clear as we'll move forward. Okay, you will see the use of this in actual application. Okay, now here I have used an arrow function. You could have also um, done this without using the arrow function. So if you do not want to, if you're not very much comfortable with the arrow functions, you can maybe use it like this. I will have to, in that case, I would have uh, created a function like this. I'll create a function, let's say data control. Okay, I'm just using another function name to avoid confusion. And again, it will take two variables or two parameters, request and respond. And herein, I'm just gonna write the same thing. Okay, here. So RESP dot write this one. Okay, and when are you going to call that function? The other things will remain same. Okay, so you're gonna call this function over here in HTTP create server. So I'm gonna say HTTP dot create server and call this function data control. Okay, dot listen at 3000. Okay, these two has the same meaning. So herein I have used an arrow function. Okay, herein I have not used the arrow function. So this is the other way that you can do this program. So for example, if I will comment this out, I'll save this. Okay, and let's run this. Okay, and let's go back here, refresh. And you see this server demo is being printed over here. Let me show it on another tab. So let's say, and see here, the server demo is printed over here. Right. So I hope how to create a server using Node.js is being clear to you. Okay. What you should be knowing is how to install the Node.js, the Node, the NPM, and how to make the things work using VS Code. Okay, we are going to see a lot of coding into this, but I hope whatever I have explained in this video is clear to you. Please feel free to reach out to me through email if you have any questions or queries. Okay. Thank you and happy coding.